attack on our country, along with countries around the world. I was in Victoria for a legislative session. I was in the hotel restaurant, and a woman at a table over from me recognized me. And she said, she looked at me and she said, she's a bit older, she said, "You're old enough to stand on your own 2 feet. Now go out there and fight like hell." And she was talking to me, but she could have been talking to all Canadians. She could have been talking about the country as a whole. And in my opinion, that's exactly what Canadians have been doing. You know, from personal choices, things like buying the Canadian option when you can, changing your vacation plans, not buying American booze. People are doing what they can to pitch in. I would say that national pride is at, in my lifetime, is at an all-time high. And I think we're just scratching the surface now of what we can do together as Canadians. I feel a sense, certainly for myself and in our province, that we're pointing the right direction, and we need to keep going. Now, to say that this is the worst time to begin testing the bonds that hold this country together is a significant understatement. It threatens our national economy. It empowers the people who would break our country up and sell us for parts. And it's not what Canadians want. It's not what British Columbians want. It's not what Albertans want. It's not what Canadians across the country want. Now, when I look at what we're doing in British Columbia, I'm really proud of it. $88 billion in major projects. Our Look West strategy, sharing with Canadians what we think we can do in British Columbia to be part of this big project as we work together. And we're proud of that because British Columbians can get big things done, but we're also proud of it as Canadians and how we can pitch in together. And we know, I know, we will not always get our way. We will not always agree. But we also know, I know, being a big family, some of the biggest fights you have are with your own family members. And yet you still find a way to hold things together because you know that you're better together than you are apart. Now, at the end of the day, this meeting is supposed to be about things like internal trade barriers, national defense strategy, economic corridors. I mean, these topics seem at best confusing, if not totally awkward, in light of the referendum question that Premier Smith has put forward. So for me at this meeting, it's about clarifying what we're doing here. Are we Western premiers who are standing together for this country to work together to deliver the promise of Canada for Canadians? Because if that's what we're doing, we got a lot of work to do. As Western premiers, I know we feel a million miles away from Ottawa sometimes. We feel like the last consideration of Ottawa. And that's why working together, we can make sure that our space in Confederation is held. And we can also at the table work out areas where we disagree. When Canadians sing, "We stand on guard for thee," I think Canadians mean it. And I think they're doing it in their daily lives, and I think it's inspirational. It has been inspirational. And we do it to make sure that the true north is strong and free, and that's what we're going to do. And I hope that that's what we can leave this meeting committing to as premiers in this crucial moment for our country. With that, I'm happy to take any questions that you have.
Hi, Premier. Welcome to Alberta. I noticed you're wearing your new boots.
Yeah, I got some sweet new boots here. I'm pretty proud of them, and very grateful to Premier Smith and the people of Alberta for these boots. I'm not auditioning for City Slickers 5. I just think they're cool, and I'm glad to be wearing them.
But not enough to, forgive the pun, to stamp out any ill will you might have about this referendum question.
Well, I guess it's an opportunity for me to check in with Premier Smith about what the game plan is here, because the agenda coming into this meeting is very different from where we stand today.
Sorry, go ahead. What about how do you think this will impact BC's ability to talk about it?
Well, I would say with respect, BC has not been part of the pipeline conversation to date between the Prime Minister and Premier Smith. We need to be at the table. We should be at the table. we hope to be at the table, but we're not yet.
Last week, when Premier Smith, Premier of Alberta, was asked if she shouldered any blame for the separatist movement in Alberta, she blamed Justin Trudeau in the past, but she said the leadership in British Columbia, that's you, she blamed the leadership in British Columbia for fomenting the dissent in this province that's led to this separation question. How do you feel about that? How are you going to sit down at the table and have a discussion with her about that?
Yeah, I think that, for me, Canada is a family. And we're not always going to agree with our family members. Not always going to agree with Premier Smith. She's going to fight for her perspective, and I understand that. She's going to fight for her projects. I'm going to fight for British Columbia's projects. But we all are united in a larger project, and we don't always get our way. I understand that. It doesn't mean that now is the time to break up the country. And I just can't believe that that's the right course of action to respond to the challenges that we face.
CBC.
Julia Wong, CBC National. Premier Smith was earlier saying, sort of on the same thread of what my colleague there was asking, that there needs to be some self-reflection on your part for the role you and past BC premiers have played. Do you plan to self-reflect?
Look, I look at this pipeline issue from BC. I saw a Prime Minister fly out to Calgary, meet with Premier Smith, reduce the national carbon price that BC had built into our budget that was part of key and major economic initiatives in our province, reduce methane pollution restrictions that are part of BC's climate change response, how we advertise we have the cleanest natural gas in the world, walk back commitments that there had to be a private sector proponent on the project, that taxpayers wouldn't have to pay for it. Premier Smith got everything that she wanted from that meeting with the Prime Minister. British Columbia got nothing. And the response to that was to bring forward a referendum question about whether or not Albertans should separate from the rest of Canada. And so I don't think this is about a pipeline project. This is about something else. And the impacts on British Columbia of that referendum question are serious and important, as they are for all Canadians. And so that's why it'll be a topic at the table.
Are you going to make any personal appeal to Premier Smith?
Absolutely. I certainly hope to. We've worked through many challenging issues. We've been able to sit at the same table despite disagreeing quite dramatically over the tanker ban off the North Coast. And I hope that as premiers we're able to engage on these issues together, especially when it concerns the future of the country. I'm not going to shy away from an important conversation that affects all Canadians at this table.
Hi, Premier Eby, Edward Jan from City News. Going off the same vein of that question, you mentioned, I believe last week, separatist premiers, when you were talking about how Alberta and the federal government are working together, and that might be overshadowing other federal projects or projects across the country. Do you still believe that Alberta Premier Danielle Smith is a separatist premier, quote unquote?
I think that this referendum question is a reckless decision to test the bonds of the country at a time when we need to stick together and fight hard, and when there are third parties that have stated very clearly that they want to make us the 51st state or they want to break us up for parts. Like, this is a moment for us to come together. And so I think that it's important for all of the premiers to stand together, which includes Premier Smith, to say that we do not support this referendum, that we want the country to focus on what really matters, which is strengthening Canada for all Canadians, for our kids, the country that our grandparents fought for, the country that has given us so much, the country that people would give up everything from around the world to come and live here. This is an incredible place, and it is not a perfect place, but it is our place. And it's one of the best places in the world, and in my opinion, it is the best place in the world. So let's fight for it like it is.
The Premier says that she plans on campaigning to stay within Canada. Is that enough for you to prove that she is for a united Canada instead of separating from the country?
Well, let's have that conversation at the table. The last announcement I saw the Premier do was that she was putting forward a question to separate Alberta from the rest of Canada, despite a court saying that that wasn't the path forward. So if that's the case, and she and I are both equally committed to a united Canada, strengthening Canada, then that's great news. And we'll sort it out at the table. We'll come out with a strong statement out the other end, and we'll all be able to move on and strengthen the national economy, strengthen our country for all Canadians, and push back on those outside threats that are very real for Canadians right now.
Canadian Press.
Dane Patterson, the Canadian Press. Just want to go back to one of the things that Premier Smith had said, basically saying that BC's ports are Canada's ports, therefore, part of Alberta's kind of use as well. So I'm curious to know, do you consider Alberta's oil, Canada's oil, and therefore, kind of BC property as well?
I mean, look, Premier Smith and I are on the same page on this. BC's ports, BC's coast is Canada's coast. It belongs to all Canadians. It's located in British Columbia. Our complicated federalist structure has federal government responsibilities, provincial government responsibilities. We all try to work together to navigate these things. I'm committed to do that work with Alberta, with the federal government. We will find a path forward to ensure that we're able to stick together as a family. But there are things that we can't compromise in British Columbia, like the North Coast tanker ban. This is a multi-generational commitment that we're not going to have oil tankers in incredibly dangerous waters off the pristine North Coast of British Columbia. And I have to be able to disagree with Premier Smith about that, and I also have to be able to recognize when the Prime Minister sits down with Premier Smith and commits to finding a path to do that, then the Constitution is what it is. And so for me, it's about fighting for British Columbians' jobs within a united Canada. And unfortunately, for this meeting, I've had to reverse it. Fighting for a united Canada so that I can fight for British Columbians' jobs, for money in the pockets for families that are struggling, for strong public services for British Columbians.
I'm sure
Last question in the back, right there.
Thank you. Caroline Bartlett, CBC National News. What will it take for BC to agree to a pipeline? Would it have to go through the south?
Well, I guess the piece that I struggle with here is that the biggest barrier to a pipeline off the North Coast is a federal law that prohibits oil tankers off the North Coast. The meetings about the pipeline have taken place between the Prime Minister and the Premier of Alberta, where they have negotiated federal policies, including methane pollution and carbon pricing, that dramatically lower standards and much lower than British Columbia's standards. And so the people you need to ask the question about the pipeline to are the Prime Minister and the Premier of Alberta. But for my part, I'm here to say the North Coast tanker ban is very important to British Columbians. It's important to major projects that we are counting on delivering that will lift up all Canadians. For our part, British Columbia has lots to offer the country in terms of being able to raise our entire national GDP, which means more money in the pocket, a stronger currency for Canadians when they go out and buy the things that they need from coast to coast to coast. We are proud and honored to be able to play that role in a united Canada. And as a family member in the Canadian family, we're committed to, even if we have strong disputes around issues like pipelines or anything else, to stick it out and find our way forward together, because we believe in this country and this project that we're working on together.
Thank
Could
you,
you talk
everyone.
about-
Thank you.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Can you talk about the interaction about the boots? I'm curious to know how that was.